You've been given a diagnosis of mesothelioma, and you've learned that mesothelioma is caused by exposure to asbestos. It's important to learn about the different ways that people can be exposed to asbestos. Hi, I'm Joe Williams. I'm a mesothelioma trial attorney in New York City, and I can answer this question by telling you that there are 4 widely accepted exposures to asbestos. And when I say widely accepted, I mean by occupational medicine doctors and scientists who review these types of exposures to determine whether an exposure was caused by asbestos. So the first of these types of exposures is simply direct exposure. And I think we all know what that is. That means that a worker, himself or herself, with their own hands, was working with an asbestos product, and working with that asbestos product caused asbestos dust in their breathing zone, meaning their nose and their mouth. They breathe that dust into their lungs, deep into their lungs, these asbestos fibers, and we know eventually that that exposure causes mesothelioma. That's a direct exposure to asbestos. The next type of exposure, equally important, is a bystander exposure. And what that means is that someone is standing by, they're a bystander, to that directly exposed person. So one person's working with an asbestos product, creating asbestos dust. Another person is in the same area, nearby, breathing in the same dust that the directly exposed worker is creating. And we see this often in industry. Every construction worker or a person who worked on a construction site knows that there's many trades doing their work at once. And while there is a progression of the work, all the trades are somewhat on top of each other. And one trade could be within arm's length of another, and they're all working in the same breathing zone. The next type of exposure I want to talk to you about is household exposures. And by household exposures, we mean the exposure of a family member who's exposed to asbestos dust from an industry worker's clothing. That's basically the main form of household exposure. So an example is a dad comes home from work, and he's working in a powerhouse. He's a steam fitter. And he comes home with asbestos dust as well as other dust on his clothes, and his kids give him a hug at the door. Well, they breathe in the dust from that clothing. Those children who just hugged their dad and breathed in that dust could get mesothelioma from those exposures to the asbestos dust. Additionally, the spouse, in this hypothetical, his wife, from breathing in the dust, from doing the laundry, could get mesothelioma. These are just a couple examples of classic household exposures. The fourth and last type of exposure I want to talk to you about is environmental exposures. I sometimes call these geographic exposures because it means that you live near a place where asbestos dust is being created. A good example is someone who lives next door to a manufacturing plant where an asbestos product is being made, or a product that contains asbestos is being made, and that asbestos dust is generally in the environment, in the air that that person's breathing every day. So that's an environmental exposure. Now, you may have many more questions, I'm sure you do, about the different ways that people can be exposed to asbestos, and I can answer those questions. I'm Joe Williams, and at our firm, we handle mesothelioma cases every day. We do this every day. It's who we are, and we can answer your questions. So you should pick up the phone and call the number you see on your screen below. That's my office number, and we'll answer your questions. I hope you found this video informative, and thank you very much for watching.